So, all right, so let's dive into the game a little bit. I think there's a lot of different ways we can go. I actually want to start with the first half and the time. He didn't call the timeouts at the end of the half until late. That's how it looked like when I was at the
Mhm.
game because we're sitting there and they had the ball. Georgia had the ball, and it looked like they were just going to go ahead and concede. And then we're like, man, is he going to call timeout and try to force him to punt it back to him? And I think it was about, I don't know, 20 seconds or so. It might be off a little bit, but it seemed like an eternity. And then he decided to call timeout. What do you think was going through his mind then, uh, Justin?
To be honest with you, that's a head scratcher to me. Normally, if there is time left on the clock, Coach Saban is going to call that timeout and try to move into scoring position before the half ends just to get some kind of points on the board. Really shocked that he didn't use that opportunity against Georgia in this game, especially since they were getting the ball in the second half. So, yeah, I didn't really understand his train of thought there.
Yeah, I was kind of taken back on that. I don't know. You got any kind of rationale, JT,
I
on what, or you just think he just wanted to get into the half and say, "All right, we're good." And
I think I thought I understood as I was watching the game. He The Bama offense was kind of like the British government, where they can just like have a vote of no confidence and just like punt and say we need to do something else. And I think that was Saban's thought, was like, it doesn't matter how much time we have, we're not really getting down the ball on here or down here very quickly. We're gonna have to put a drive together. Defense is tired, and um, let's just not have a mistake right now this late going into the half, because Georgia was getting the ball back. But then they got down, they got the third down, and that's when he took the timeout. And my thought was, since they had the two timeouts, they were kind of backed up in their own end zone or close to their own end zone. He'd call a timeout on second down, stop him on third, call a timeout on third down or on fourth down to force them to punt. And because they were close enough, he was just going to, I don't even know if he was going to send a returner back there and just say, go block it. If you hit the punter, oh well, it'll be fine. And he called the timeout. They broke one off for 10 or whatever, got the first down, and he was like, all right, never mind. We're not going to, we can't get him to punt now. We don't have enough timeouts. So I that's kind of where I thought it was didn't want to give Georgia any extra time in case they couldn't stop him. Then it looked like maybe they could. He called a timeout, and they got a first down anyway. And then after that, he was just like, all right, let's just get out of here with a lead and try to hold him coming out of the half.
mm-hmm. Well, I don't think we played. I mean, as much as we were moving the ball, I felt like we could have been in a better position. I know Bryce threw the ball fairly well the whole game, even being limited with his wide receivers. But man, at the end of the half, we had 10 rushing yards. That was, I don't know. I was disappointed in that. I just felt like we not that we were going to rush for 300 yards against them like we did against the Bearcats, but I thought we'd do a little bit better. Just the way the holes looked like they were opening up, but it just seems like they were closing those so fast. So, is this schematic that we're having issues with? Is it just the players that we can't really grind it out like we feel like we need to? What do you guys think the real reason is that we haven't been successful against the better teams with running the football? Justin?
To be honest with you, if what Bill O'Brien's thinking, because he's kind of had that same situation the entire year. It's like he faith in Brian Robinson or the offensive line, which I don't really understand, because B. Robinson is probably the workhorse, the bell cow of the team. And he's the guy that once he starts going, he can carry an offense on his shoulders. And then Bill O'Brien just wants to force a pass and force the issue. And if you look at it, no, he didn't have big gaping holes a lot of the time, but he was gaining 3, 4, sometimes 5 yards a pop. So he was getting those yards every time. And it seemed like any time Brian Robinson started to get going, it's like Bill O'Brien would lose his mind, and then he decided to go back to the pass again. I don't understand that. I think that since he is one of the emotional leaders of that team, he's the kind of guy, let him run and force them to stop it until you can't run anymore. Keep it going. In the second half, Brian Robinson was finding holes. He was gashing them, and we just went away from it. I don't understand that way of thinking. I mean, I know Georgia's good up front, giving us fits, but I just don't think we could have seen how good we could have been running the ball. I just felt like there was a lot of potential left on the field.
I felt like his plan, JT, was just to try to make them run sideline to sideline. It looked like there was about maybe 4 different run plays. Seemed like they started off with a little quick pitch to the outside. They were throwing the ball outside, which I'm calling a sweep as well. They probably did that a little bit more. Looked like they were running the outside zone, trying to hit it. It was really about it that I can think of as far as the run game, unless I'm missing something. So I think the numbers don't tell it all. He ended up with Robinson had 22 carries for about 68 yards or something like that. So that, that's not very good either way. But you say, oh, well, it's close. But those were kind of late, obviously. So what do you think, JT, about that? Was the run game just a little simple and a little timid to try to force feed it to Brian?
Well, I have very little confidence in our line anyway. Just like the right side of the line, it was a ragtag bunch, and I don't mean ragtag is like unskilled. I just mean like Chris Owens is a center, and he's playing right tackle. We have a backup center in Dalcourt, and then we've just got like some rotating, seemingly, a rotating door at right guard. Sometimes that's Owens, sometimes it's Cohen, and then it just like whoever else we got that can fill up that right tackle spot. I think the best guy on the line has been Evan Neal the entire year. The problem is you just can't run behind Evan Neal the entire time. I personally was not a fan of trying to run outside. I've never been a fan of trying to run outside against SEC opponents. I don't understand why people try to run those sweeps and those tosses and pitches. Like there's just too much speed. Georgia is not a slow defense at all. I mean, maybe their nose tackle is a little slow, but I mean he's 6'7", 340-something pounds. Like he's not supposed to be getting sideline and sideline, but the rest of those guys, they are. So, I
was about to say those quick passes, even when they did out there, I don't even think the linemen were necessarily making the tackles. It seemed like their DBs were flowing so fast and disrupting the blocks, That's what it looked like to me. I was like, dude, these linemen not even chasing. They're just kind of counting on them guys to go out there. They were really, They kept our guys cutting them back. They did do that they were making them stop to try to get back upfield. I did see that. I was wondering if that was on purpose by Kirby not tracking the near hip. They were actually going for the outside hip and making those guys cut back. So I don't know. I just hope it's something that we can fix and get back. I've been harping on it all year, right, JT, that, hey, we need to get back to the gap scheme. I know we run the zone. I know we got to have it. I'll sit next to John Clay, and he's like, man, I call the zone right now and this and that. And I understand it, but I don't know. I'd rather see a better mixture of things when it came to the running game.
My only counterpoint would be that when we got inside the 10, we still couldn't run the ball, and we tried. It wasn't as if we gave up on the run down there. It's just we ran it on first down, and we picked up probably an average of half a yard. And then we tried running on second down, got 3 yards. You still need 6, and you hadn't really broken off a run of 6 yards the whole time. So, I getting down inside the 10 and as many field goals as we had to kick because we could not pick up yards in the first half, I kind of look at, Bill O'Brien's thing and it's like, I don't blame him for not really trying to get after the run game, because when we tried when it really mattered, when you only needed 10 yards and you couldn't get a first down then. So I feel like it's hard to go back into the locker room and be like, all right, we're going to really establish the run this time. And
well, why do you think they don't put Bryce in certain situations, the zone reads? As much as zone that we're having, at least give him an opportunity.
Now that I don't know.
As fast as he is, it seems like he should be able to at least get a couple.
And one thing I got a question too is I know everyone into the game that after the injuries against Cincinnati, Chris Owens and Emil Ekiyor were at or near 100%, but Chris Owens had to be carried off the field. And to me, that says that's not an injury that you can easily overcome that quick. So I'm kind of questioning, what was their health level? And maybe is that why when it came down to the red zone, we weren't able to move the ball as effectively?
No, I guess you're probably right. I mean, injuries everywhere, injuries all over the place. Right,
that's been the most consistent thing all season.
Yeah, it has, and I do hope that Jameson Williams, I will say that I hope that he's gonna recover well. I guess that they officially diagnosed it with an ACL tear.
Yes.
So I don't know what that's going to do for his draft stock, if that affects it, or if he gets, the same kind of treatment, I guess you can say, as Waddle. You have a pretty significant injury like that. Can he still be the first rounder that he is? We're just wishing him the best.